Hello, everyone. Welcome to May 7th. It's Thursday. This month is already speedily going along very quickly. My name is Kelly Baltzell, and I'm the CEO of Beyond Indigo Pets. Welcome. Today we have Dr. Amanda from PetSmart Charities. She is going to be talking about accessible veterinary care today. So I'm actually really interested to learn about this because Amanda always has insights into the world that I don't get to see very often. So I am looking forward to that. So thank you for being here, Amanda.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. But before we start that, we're going to start with our news tip because Google's doing stuff again, like Google does. So we'll be right back with you, Amanda. So when the crisis started, when the pandemic started with COVID-19, Google was scrambling too. Google was trying to send people home and it was trying to figure out what it was doing with its workforce. And so it limited some of its features, especially on Google My Business. And then they also created this page here about Google My Business functionality with COVID. What we're starting to see in one of the 3 bullet points down about reviews and Q&As is Google has said that they're slowly rolling open because they just shut her all down. They didn't have enough support staff to help businesses with reviews and Q&As, so they just froze that feature. That they're now slowly opening, and they're not telling where, but they're rolling it across the world because, of course, Google's worldwide. The ability for businesses to accept reviews again, to respond to reviews, and to accept and respond to Q&A functionality on Google My Business. Now, what's important for this for you as businesses is, one, you really should ask your clients, your current clients, if the review section is open for you, to ask them to leave reviews about how your business has helped them during the pandemic, because we have now kind of before COVID life in world, and now we have during COVID life. People are going to want to know what during COVID life is like. So find some clients, ask them to leave reviews, then please come in and respond to them so people can see some interaction between how your business is engaging with current clients or who are leaving reviews. Try to do about 3 a week would be our recommendation. So that's what we have for news today. Now, Dr. Amanda is next up. And Amanda, you have stuff for us today. So tell us a little bit about yourself and then some really great information. And I'll still be here, but you won't see me.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Absolutely great to be here. Again, my name's Dr. Amanda. Last name is Landis-Hanna. Sometimes that's a little tricky when you're on air trying not to run into a tongue twister. I'm currently serving as the Senior Manager of Veterinary Outreach for PetSmart Charities, which is the largest nonprofit animal welfare funder within North America. PetSmart Charities is historically really well known for their adoptions programs and their spay and neuter programs, but over the last couple of years, we've really been paying attention to the need for accessible veterinary care within the owned pet population. As we know, not everyone can receive the care that they need due to a variety of different barriers. And so really what a lot of my time and energy is spent on are really looking at different programs that can help to support young veterinarians and veterinary students to learn things like cultural competencies, like understanding barriers to care, and offering a wider variety of options so that those individuals who do own pets are able to find accessible veterinary care options that work for them. Of course, for all of us, we're really, really interested in making sure that the animals within our community are able to find good, lifelong, loving homes, but also are able to access veterinary care in whatever form or fashion that may look like. The reason why that's so important is obviously there is a huge One Health component, as well as impact on that human-animal bond. And as veterinarians, we have the opportunity to be really proactive and really strong advocates for both the human animal bond as well as One Health. And we've seen that during COVID more than ever before. Especially right now, part of what we're seeing is an increase in necessity for accessible veterinary care because so many pet parents have unfortunately lost their jobs, lost wages, or are undergoing some economic hardships. So, one of the things that I wanted to really bring forward, in addition to my personal passion for the human animal bond today, was this map. Now, don't be scared. It is a very busy looking map. It's a map that has been shared out by the AVMA, American Veterinary Medical Association, and it's an overlay map, meaning it takes other data. This particular data is from the CDC, and it's from the Social Determinants of Health map. In addition, it has been overlaid by AVMA with all of the little black dots, which represent veterinary clinics within the United States. So I'm going to pause here for just a second and allow everyone to be slightly less terrified. And what I want to do is kind of demonstrate and show you guys how this map is really helping to provide a lot of insight for those of us who have a high level of concern around accessibility of veterinary care. And when I say that, I'm talking about all barriers to care. So not just socioeconomic barriers, but in some cases, we're talking about language barriers or transportation barriers. For instance, some clients live in really rural, remote, or tribal locations, and they aren't able to access a veterinary care option in person. So that's where things like telemedicine come into play, or learning different languages is an opportunity to help expand your client base. So when I'm talking about accessible veterinary care, I'm not talking about free care necessarily or subsidized care necessarily. I'm talking about taking a look at your local community, which you can hopefully identify in the map. Hopefully it's not too small for you. And then being able to understand what that need may look like. Now, certainly, as you guys are looking at this, you can see that the brighter red areas are areas that may have a higher level of need. But when you see those little black dots, those are all of the local veterinary practices. So obviously, everyone on this Facebook Live is able to identify their local veterinary location, their location. And the number of little black dots, the darker it is, that's the number of veterinary practices nearby. Now, as you can all see, there's a huge number of red and orange locations that don't have any little black dots, or certainly a fewer number of little black dots. And those are areas that have a high need for accessible veterinary care with fewer options for veterinary practices. So that's again where things like telemedicine can come into play, or a partnership with local social service, local animal welfare organizations, local animal shelters can also come into play. Those are individuals through social services and through animal welfare organizations or animal shelters that see the need and may be able to help provide some basic levels of care, not inadequate care, not substandard care, but some more basic options for veterinary care while still serving the needs of both the public as well as those pets that are not currently receiving any care at all if they are unowned. Now, again, this map and this data was collected a little bit prior to COVID actually breaking out. So we suspect, and we will see sort of play out as the data comes in, that we're actually going to see an increase in need in some of these areas, meaning some of the areas that are yellow may switch to orange, or some of the areas that are currently orange may switch to red. We may see an increase in need just due to the fact that we will have a larger population that is filing for unemployment, may be at risk of losing their housing. And we do know that when individuals lose their housing, unfortunately, they have a tendency to put their pets up for relinquishment because not all housing is animal friendly, or for those individuals who were borderline on housing security, they may now become housing insecure. And in those cases, we do unfortunately know that many shelters do not offer co-sheltering or boarding facilities for pets. And then those pets wind up being back into a shelter because they are being relinquished due to a lack of housing options. So all of these things play in together: socioeconomics, barriers to accessible veterinary care, locations of where veterinarians may be located and may not be located, state board regulations that impact how veterinary care can be delivered, whether telemedicine is acceptable or not. And of course, pet parents who really want to do the best things that they can for their pets, but may be forced to relinquish them. All of those impact that human animal bond and start to deteriorate the human animal bond. So, as veterinarians, I feel it's really important for us to be advocates for the human animal bond, whether that is to provide more accessible care options, or whether that is to create partnerships with social services, with animal shelters, with human shelters within our communities to better understand what the needs are and how to help reduce some of those barriers. Again, I know it's a really busy map, and certainly I will be more than happy to field any questions on my personal Facebook page, which we'll make sure to post that information after this cast.
Awesome. So besides Facebooking you, I don't even know if that's actually a legit way of saying that, reaching out to you on Facebook.
Yes.
Personally, where else can people get a hold of you?
Absolutely. So I love social media. I have 2 small children, so even if I didn't love social media, I would have social media pretty much rammed down my throat with love and affection.
Right.
Be found on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Twitter, as well as on Facebook. And I will make sure that I provide all of those social media feeds. Additionally, feel free to access any of those social media feeds and then send me a direct message if you have a question about what those opportunities are to both provide accessible veterinary care within your local community or get a better understanding of what the national size and scope is. Again, I serve as the veterinarian for PetSmart Charities throughout North America. So if you happen to be a viewer and you're in Canada and want to know what that looks like, because again, I only showed the US map, feel free to send me a DM, send me a direct message, and I'm happy to help connect you with some local or national partners that may be able to help provide you some additional information as well.
Perfect. Awesome. Because it's always just important to figure out, well, where do I go next? Because you may not think of things like right this minute, right? So like, what happens when we do think of it? All right. So that's awesome because there is a lot of conversation in this space about, okay, what happens to all those pets that were adopted? You know, are we going to see the backwash coming back in, you know, and surrendering? There is a lot of theory right now. We don't know, right? So just.
Well, and as the veterinarian who both on the animal welfare side as well as on the veterinary side, we are starting to see some of those things come to fruition. We expected that there might be a delay, which we have seen due to the CARES Act. When people aren't being evicted, we aren't going to see as many relinquishments. And shelters have been brilliant in getting a lot of their adoptable animals out into foster homes. But as the CARES Act ends and as those foster pets start to come back into animal shelters and as people unfortunately may lose their housing, we see an influx of animals into animal shelters. And one of the best ways to prevent that from happening is to provide for those medical needs. If the pet is healthy, they may be able to keep their housing, or they may be able to financially invest in housing that allows them to keep those pets. And if they can keep those pets, those are future veterinary clients as well.
That's true. Yep. And everybody is a win-win, right? Like it's this happiness all over. So that's what we want.
want to reinforce that human animal bond, not be a deterrent. When clients feel like veterinary services are outside of their reach, whether it's financially or due to other barriers, they may not even seek our services. It's not that they don't want to, it's just that there is a level of fear. So, helping to break down those barriers is going to always reinforce that human animal bond and help to make veterinarians both appear and actually be the experts in that human animal bond.
I love it. I love it. So we usually end with a marketing self message, like what do you do to keep yourself positive during this time, right?
Right.
I know, you got the girls and you got the pups, but what are you doing at home kind of to keep yourself going?
Yeah, absolutely. Self care is so vitally important, whatever that may look like. And one of the things that I really enjoy for self care is maybe during my lunch break, I might watch some kitten and puppy videos on YouTube because one, they're adorable, but it also helps to sort of reinvigorate and reinforce, why do I do this? Why am I on? Why do I try and help answer questions and connect people? Those really cute, goofy puppy and kitten videos are excellent for that.
That is so true. And there's plenty of them.
They
So
sure are. And feel free. I love to see them. So keep posting, whoever you may be.
sounds awesome. Well, thank you for coming today. Really appreciated the information. And I just always adore seeing you. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's been a real joy and pleasure. And I appreciate having the opportunity to share this information with your viewership.
Thanks.